Welcome to Free Advice Guy. Whoa. All right, let's take a look at what the markets did today. Relatively flat day all around, 0.5% there in the Dow. Oil up, gold down. Whoo! New Kana up 150% today. That's crazy. Let's see what our biggest losers were. All right, 52-week high. Walmart still chugging away. Boeing at a low. Oracle, let's check out NASDAQ. Man, T-Mobile's been killing it. See what the European markets did. Retirement is not a math problem. Okay, I'm very interested in what that article has to say. Well, can't read that. All right. Take a look at Yahoo Finance real quick. All right, Apple pulls down NASDAQ, Dow hits record, Fed rate cut on horizon. Tesla and Nvidia down. All right, let's close this out. This person's 18 and absolutely screwed, huh? All right, let's take a look. Almost no mistake you make at 18 will ruin the rest of your life. You just need to look at it strategically and come up with a plan to handle it. So this person has $11,000 in debt. It's possible that it could be written off by the hospital. But in a worst case scenario, he gets a job and he starts making payments for it over time. As his income increases, he pays more towards it. But a lot of people have a lot more debt than 11,000 that early, and I'm talking specifically about school debt. when you're heading into retirement, you're thinking about paying off any remaining debts before you get in there. The interest rate's important because if it's low, you could potentially earn more in the market than you could by paying it off. But that's not the only thing that needs to factor in. It's also peace of mind. There are some people, they would rather have no debt, lessen their expenses, and the loss of potential market gains is 100% worth it because they have the peace of mind of their house being paid off. Right. Am I doing saving right? So this person's making about 65,000 a year. They put about 25% of their income in a 401k. They have savings in a market and a money market fund. Really, they need to begin the 5 steps of the financial success process. They need to get a budget. We don't have nearly enough information here, but they need a budget. Once they have a budget, they can establish an actual emergency fund. Then they can figure out their goals, what they want their money to do for them and when. And then they can begin investing and saving towards those goals. But you have to go through the process before you get to that last part. And it looks like they're already investing for their goals without really understanding them. This person's already kind of at the navigate phase. They need to take a look at their situation and possibly make changes before it's really begun. When it comes to leveraging debt to make other financial moves, it's possible that it's very successful, but it all depends on the type of person you are. A lot of people are going to feel stressed if they take out leverage to buy an investment property, because what if that investment property doesn't rent as fast as you think it's going to, or doesn't sell as fast as you think it's going to? Do you have the funds to cover the payments every month? On top of that, do you have the stomach to sit on it if it doesn't rent out or it doesn't sell? Leveraging debt gives you more money to play around with and potentially earn more, but you have to be able to deal with the level of stress that will come with having that much debt and the responsibility of paying that debt and making sure things are sold or rented. Okay. When you have a bunch of debt and you're considering consolidation, it can be a good move for you, but there's some things you need to factor in. How much interest are you paying in actual dollars every month today? And if you consolidate those loans or those debts, how much interest in dollars will you be paying after? The interest on your debt is the biggest killer to your money and your financial situation. So you want to get that as low as possible. If there are steps you can take to consolidate those debts, get a lower overall interest rate and pay less overall in actual money per month and per year, then it might be worth it to you. You just have to compare the numbers before and after and make sure you're not doing anything that could potentially hurt your credit. when you're looking at changing your overall portfolio, you need to look at quite a few things. One, do you have all of the market in your investments? Do you only have part of the market in your investments? Do you have any overlap in any of these investments where maybe you have two funds that invest similarly? If so, what you're doing is risking that that part of the market will do better than the rest. If you own the entire market weighted, you're just betting that the entire market is going to go up. But if you have overlap or you're missing out on portions of the market, you're kind of taking an additional risk within your portfolio. It could pay off if those sections of the market end up performing better than uh, what you do have, or I'm sorry, what you don't have. But in reality, we don't know what the market's going to do. So if you are not invested in small caps, mid caps, large caps, whatever it happens to be, you're taking the risk that those portions of your portfolio uh, that you don't have won't perform as well as what you do have. And that's just an additional risk and a gamble. If you're thinking about selling your home to pay off any current debts that you have, you need to look forward in what your life will look like after. So if you sell your current home, pay off your debts, and use the rest as a down payment on a new home, interest rates are higher now. Will your monthly payment actually be reduced by paying off your current debts and moving into a new home, or will they be about the same? If you're going to break even, then you probably just want to work on paying down your credit card debts outside of that. But if you're going to have a substantially less payment every single month, then it might be worth looking at. But there are other quality of life factors you need to look into as well. Is the house you're moving into smaller? Is it equal? Is it bigger? What will your life really look like if you make these moves? Yo, Soft. Thanks for the prime, brother. I appreciate you. This is another financial situation where this person doesn't really have a picture of what they're doing. They have not gone through the 5 steps of the financial success. No. This is another example of somebody who doesn't know their full financial picture. The 5 steps to financial success have not really been started or completed with this person. They need to understand their budget so they know where every dollar is going and what they have left over. They need an emergency fund. And then they can begin working on goals. So they have extra money they want to do something with, but they aren't even sure of their full financial picture. So it's impossible to say what they should do because they don't even know what their budget or their emergency fund is. You have to go through the steps to make sure you're properly allocating every dollar to where it needs to go to maximize your financial success. One of the ultimate financial goals is to have your house completely paid off. If you're able to do that at a younger age, you can take all of those housing expenses, which are generally your largest expenses for a mortgage, and invest those any way that you'd like. You would have peace of mind though that your house is paid off. If you have the cash to pay for a house and you're considering a mortgage, you are essentially leveraging to buy that house and assuming that that money will earn more than your mortgage, and that's possibly true. But at some point, you need to get to where your house is paid off, particularly before retirement. If you're able to do that, your peace of mind will be off the charts. It's not always about what will give you the best investing return, it's about the peace of mind. Yeah, so that's honestly what I would do. The thing is, if you have a house paid off, you're really probably not going to need to fall back on equity. Housing costs are our biggest expense. If you don't have a mortgage and all you have is HOA, utilities, and all that sort of stuff, even in a worst case scenario, as long as you pay your property tax, you essentially have a very good camping style living. With no utilities, you at least have a roof over your head, you know? I think too many people get caught up in this money can make more if I invest it. And the whole reason we invest is to eventually reach peace of mind. And if you can have peace of mind that your house is paid off now, why not do it? Also, Acer, what do you think of this? My wife did this today. Like a Viking beard. Yo, I dig that. Have you heard of the do one more thing? So whatever you end up doing today, that your body has done that. If you want to gain muscle, the next time you do it, tomorrow or 2 days from now, you need to do that plus one. And you keep pushing that up. So you don't actually increase by a ton. You just increase by like 1 rep per day per exercise. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Whoo. It's my first day wearing the purple. It's like Twitch colored, you know? Funds like VU or SPY are very popular today, and for good reason. They've performed well over the last 10, 15 years. But what you need to factor in is that's only 500 stocks. You're missing all of the small cap and mid cap stocks, which are the majority of the stocks within the stock market. So if you have just the 500 index fund, you are potentially missing out on the growth of the small and mid cap funds, even though right now large caps have been outperforming the other two. You need to factor that in for your long-term investing. Historically, you've gotten the most growth out of small cap and mid cap, even though lately it's been the most growth from large cap. That is true, Acer. They were small cap likely one day, or mid cap. That's very true, Acer. Dude, this era of investing has been so weird. Watching the 500 index fund outperform the total stock market has been kind of weird. I do imagine that at some point it will turn around and we'll start to see that. But the stock market has been in such a weird place for like 10 years now. If you're invested in the 500 index fund, you're not nearly as diversified as you think you are. It is an index fund, but it's only 500 companies. I believe there are somewhere between 4,500 and 5,000 companies in the US stock market, and you're only investing in 500 of those. You're missing out on the small cap and the mid cap stocks. Historically, the small caps and the mid caps have performed more, but in the long run, you are gambling that the 500 index fund, the 500 largest funds, will continue to outperform the small cap and the mid cap funds. There we go. All the tech companies getting pumped up by AI. Will eventually come back down when that bubble pops. Essentially what it is, an AI bubble. Yeah, we'll see, Acer. I think another thing is that the economy is not doing as well as we're being told it is. So smaller companies are not performing as well as they could be in a more flourishing economy. I think if and when the economy actually picks up, worldwide really, we'll see the smaller companies start to do better. Man, I'm not really going to get into this one, but his 72-year-old father has been secretly raking it up about $200,000 worth of credit card debt from gambling. Yikes. Yeah, they're just definitional words, and they changed the definition of recession recently anyway. We were in a recession, I think that was last year, but they just didn't call it that. So the beginning of this year or last year, we were in a recession. They're like, no, 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 it's not a recession anymore. Oh, okay, so this definition is from 2022. I just want to see if they have the old definition here. Yeah, a period. Used to be 2 quarters consecutively. And then they're like, no, 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 let's change that. Even though we've used it for 70 years. Oh, thanks, Acer. My wife asked if she could do it. I said, sure, let's try it. That'd be funny, Acer. Alright, just for old time's sake here, Acer. Meemer. You think the whole site will drop once everyone takes their payouts? Should I save less for retirement and more for other expenses? You could tell by this question that this person's financial plan has not been fully thought out. The 5 steps for financial success are to create a budget so you understand where every dollar is going, have an emergency fund, and then to set specific goals. Once you have specific goals for how much money you want to have by what date, then you can know if you're saving properly. If you don't know those things, you're going to have questions about how you should be allocating and where you should be putting your money. If you can get specific on your budget, emergency fund, and your goals, then when you start to invest and save, you can know that you're putting your money where it needs to go for you to reach those goals. Yeah. I'm gonna let them keep my $30, Acer. We're gonna call that a wash for them. I think I have $32. Oh man, sounds good, man. You excited? I think there's something to be said about doing physical, or not just physical. How do I word this? Jobs that are required to help people survive. Yeah, I wonder how many people are giving back money. Yeah. I think it's impossible not to bump heads with moms. I love my mom to death, and we had a lot of fun, but we definitely bumped heads until she died. Let's see what this says here. Ooh, this is a long one. Yeah, no, $110. Yeah, it was cool while it lasted. It's hard to see when and how streamers will become a part of the platform now. Do you have any insight as to what they're going to do, Acer, with the mobile app? Like, how exactly they plan to bring engagement and all that sort of stuff? The mobile app won't ever be a thing? Yeah. You think Stonks is dead? It did feel off. We're still in a Discord chat together, and they haven't updated anything, but see how it goes. If you have an old 401k, you're not sure what to do with it, you're most likely the best thing you could do would be to roll that over into an IRA. You could put it into your 401k, but there's likely going to be less investment options when you do that. With an IRA, you have more investment options and more freedom. And you can also more easily do a Roth conversion if you ever want to than if it's inside of your 401k. One thing you want to try to avoid is taking distributions, especially if you're below 59 and a half, because you'll have a 10% early withdrawal penalty. So roll it over into an IRA, invest it, and then make it a part of your overall financial plan. I read deeply into things and lay out multiple paths in my head and work through logical outcomes. I have a really good gut feeling. It doesn't typically lead me wrong. Instinct or whatever you would call it. It would be sad if they just launched and crashed this quickly. I feel like they could have made the prize pool smaller as well, kept it going, but kept the prize pool smaller until they got sponsored games. But I don't know, they probably had a lot going on in the background that I'll never fully understand. If you're 30 years old and just starting to think about your financial picture, there are 5 steps to financial success. First, you got to get a very detailed and specific budget. Then you need an emergency fund. I'd like 12 months of basic living expenses. You could be more or less conservative. Then you need goals with specific time horizons and risk tolerances and what you want that money to do. And then you can begin investing and saving. As your life changes, you'll need to navigate those changes and make updates to your financial plan. It's never too late to start working towards success as long as you use the begin process. One of the easiest ways to reduce your tax burden with the least amount of work is to increase your 401k contributions. The money you contribute to your 401k does not get paid to you immediately. It goes into your 401k and it lowers your taxable income in the current year. And then over the long run, that money will hopefully grow. And as you begin taking distributions on it, you'll hopefully be in a lower tax bracket. Yes, sir, Soft. 6 in the morning. I feel like I already covered consolidating credit card debt earlier in this stream. Yikes, look at this. Paying like 9 to 10,000 or 8 to 10,000 in interest every year on these credit cards. Shazam, the CEO of Twitch, they have some really cool what are they called? They're not classes. We'll just call them like live studio things. So one is for full-time content creators or full-time streamers, some networking ones. So there are probably a ton of people there I want to meet. I just don't know who they are yet. Yeah, his meet and greet is already full, unfortunately. Him and Kaide are doing a joint one, and it's full. It filled up within like seconds. But yeah, they had a huge list of meet and greets. Please, bro, please. You don't understand. And I've already covered consolidating credit. I will leave that one off. $11 credit cards, 2 loans, car payment, rent, utilities. Oof. Look at these rates. Probably needs to attack this one first. You know what? There are a lot of things that factor in how you pay off debt. In this specific example, there's many numbers and many things to look at. But one of the very first things you need to do is take your APR and multiply it by your balance on all of your debts. Figure out which one you're paying the most in real dollars every month or every year in interest, and attack that one until it's no longer the most. They can be sort of hidden because it'll look like a low interest rate on a high debt, or it'll be a high interest rate on a medium debt. So it just kind of blends in. You won't know until you actually do the math and figure out how much interest you're paying per month or per year, and that's how you pay off the debt the fastest. Let's take a look at a structured settlement. One sec. Not enough detail here. I don't want to cover the pro rata rules for this. You figured out your budget, you know how much your basic living expenses are, and you've saved for an emergency fund. What to do next? Now you need to figure out what your goals are for your money. The first goal people shoot for is generally retirement, but there are other short term goals like buying a car, kids' education, things like that. You need to understand what your goals are specifically, how much you want at what date, and then you can start allocating any extra income you have towards those goals to help you accomplish them. One of my strongest recommendations for anyone is to live debt free. If you have debt outstanding, every dollar you make is actually owed to someone else and is affecting your. Oh man. Give me a sec here. I stumbled. One of the biggest recommendations I would give almost everybody is to live debt free. If you have a bunch of debt, every dollar you make isn't technically yours and affects your net worth. There is something about the peace of mind you get when you have no debt. You owe no one anything. Every dollar you make is yours. If you can live that way, that is the dream. Until you are debt free, someone else controls your money and has some sort of impact on your life. If you can live debt free, that's truly having some freedom. If you have a car loan or some other sort of debt and you're considering paying it off, if it's not going to have a negative effect on your budget, emergency fund, or your other financial goals, pay it off. The less debt that you carry, the more freedom you have. There's no reason to carry debt for longer than you need to, as long as it isn't going to negatively impact your overall financial life. But it's likely going to have a positive impact if you pay it off, because now the money that you're paying towards that debt can go towards something else. Gonna guess this person works at Vanguard. This is Vanguard's contribution. They do 10% of your salary whether you contribute or not. I would bet that they have a match on top of this 10% as well. 20,000. He's looking at doing an FHA loan at best there. I already covered paying off a mortgage early. This probably won't end up being a clip, but the type of account that you have your money invested in doesn't necessarily matter when it comes to achieving a financial goal. So even if it's retirement, if you only have 200,000 in a retirement account, but you have 1 million in a brokerage account, you might have enough to retire. You're still going to use those funds for your retirement, therefore you're going to be covered. So don't necessarily get worried about what type of account you're invested in. Worry about the total amount and the tax implications of withdrawals from each of those accounts. Assuming your retirement savings are in order, if you have another financial goal, you need to know how much you're going to need to spend to buy that thing, and that'll tell you how much you need to be saving per month, and your budget will tell you if you can actually afford that. If those two things line up, then you should be able to purchase your goal at that specific time. But unless you have a budget, knowing exactly how much extra funds you have, and you have a goal with a time horizon on it, you'll never know for certain if and when you can buy that dream purchase. If you come into some unexpected money, this is another. No. If you come into unexpected money, you need to navigate this just like any other life change. You need to reassess your budget, your emergency fund, your financial goals, and how you're investing and savings towards those goals. Assuming all of those things shake out, one thing you could look at doing with the extra money is paying off debts and then taking the extra and applying it towards any goal that you have outstanding, especially if there's one that's behind the mark you're targeting. Deciding how much house you can afford is hard. When you go to apply for a loan, they're going to tell you that you can do 36% of your gross income as a payment towards your house. I generally don't recommend that. You want to actually get that as low as possible. They know that you're going to want to buy as much house as you can, but I'm telling you, your life will be much less stressful if you can get a lower debt to income ratio when it comes to the mortgage that you take out. If you could target 30% or less, your payments will be lower and you'll feel much better on a month to month basis. this divorce, why wasn't the car handled during the divorce? The divorce decree should have covered the car. Be right back. To know how to invest, you need to understand your time horizon and your risk tolerance. On a 1 to 5 scale, 1 meaning you're willing to miss out on most performance returns because you can't handle any volatility within your portfolio, and a 5 meaning you're very comfortable with the wild swings in the market because you think in the long run stocks are going to outperform. You need to figure out where you are on that scale. Once you figure out that scale or that rating, you can then determine what your asset allocation should be. If you're super aggressive and don't care about market fluctuations, you might be 100% stock. If you're super conservative and you can't stomach any volatility within your portfolio, you might be 100% cash or money markets. Until you understand your risk tolerance and your time horizon for your goal, you can't properly set an asset allocation. But once you do know those things, you can know how to begin investing to achieve your goals. If you're switching from a corporate 401k style retirement to a public pension style retirement, what should you do with that 401k that you already have? Unless you qualify for a 72T exception, you're going to pay a 10% penalty on any withdrawals you make in that account. A wise move would be to just leave it in the 401k and let it grow over the course of your lifetime. This would be one of the 3 buckets of money that you would have for retirement. This would be your pre-tax bucket. In combination for a post-tax like a Roth and a brokerage account that you can withdraw on in a tax-sensitive manner. You also have a pension on top of that, providing you income in retirement, giving you another source of income in addition to maybe Social Security. So keep the money in the 401k, let it grow, take distributions on it after 59 and a half so you can avoid the early withdrawal penalty. if you're thinking about selling an investment property or renting it out, your overall returns need to factor in how much you're going to end up making by renting the house versus if you were to take that money and invest it. But another factor you need to think about is, do you want to be a landlord? Do you want to get the call at 10 p.m. that the water heater went out or that the AC is out? Do you want to hire a property manager to take care of that property for you? Or do you just want to take that money, invest it in the stock market or some other investment, and let it ride forever without much maintenance? Returns are important, but your quality of life is also important when it comes to your investments. If you're 18 years old and you're trying to decide about investing in a Roth IRA or an individual brokerage account, you need to decide what that money is for. If you don't plan to touch it until you retire after 59 and a half, then the Roth IRA is probably the way to go because it'll grow and then you could take distributions tax free. But if you are planning to use that money any time before that, you probably want to go with an individual account because you won't pay a 10% early withdrawal penalty on your individual brokerage account. You'll just pay the capital gains rate. But these are things you need to consider when making your investment choices. Yo, what's up, Moki? When I have a kid, what are the best vehicles to invest in their future, education, and their own retirement? Um, there are multiple answers to this, but a lot of it depends on the type of control you want to have. So a 529 is, I think, by far the best investment vehicle that you can have. You invest into the 529, it grows, and if you use it for educational purposes, all withdrawals are tax free. Um, if they don't go to school, then you have to pay certain taxes and things on the money within the 529. If you want to give them a gift, you can look at a UGMA, a Uniform Gift to Minors account, but that money is legally theirs immediately. If you want to help them with retirement, one, they need to have some income, but once they get their first job, they can make contributions of their earned income amount into a minor IRA, be it traditional or Roth. Another thing you could do, and what some parents elect to do because they never know the type of person their kids will turn out to be, is you open an individual account in your name that is designated for your child, and then you can give them money from that account as you see fit at different points in their life. For education, almost nothing beats a 529. Yep, I think you had a typo. Apparently, as of this year, you can roll up to 35,000 into a 401k. Yeah, they. I don't know about the 401k option, but they did allow for rollovers depending on what happens. But I don't know the specific amounts. Your tax advisor is going to be a better bet for that. Whenever it comes to changing money from one account type to another account type, you want to get a tax expert involved in that. But for educational purposes, almost nothing beats a 529. If you're thinking about taking a hiatus from your job and you want to know if you can do so responsibly, you need to understand your budget, how much emergency funds or funds set aside for this you have, and then how it will affect your overall goals. If it's not going to affect your overall financial goals and you have the money set aside to be able to pay for your long hiatus and you think you need it for your mental health or for any other reason, then it's something you could possibly do. But you have to look at your overall financial picture, and then you have to remain disciplined with your budget during that hiatus to make sure you don't increase your expenses, depleting your assets much faster. So, Journal of Accountancy. Let's take a look here. Section 126. Alleviate some of this concern by introducing a special rule allowing distributions from a 529 plan to Roth IRAs. It's not a 401k, it's a Roth IRA, it looks like. This essentially allows unused college savings to be transferred to a beneficiary's retirement savings without taxes or penalties. That's actually a sick rule. Man, how does this factor in? The lifetime maximum amount a 529 beneficiary can transfer is 35,000. There you go. That's what you were talking about. The 529 account must have existed for at least 15 years. No contributions or earnings on contributions from the last 5 years can be transferred. The transfers are subject to annual Roth IRA contribution limits. Interesting. Yep, definitely talk with a tax advisor, Moki. Also, if you're still there, how have you been since the shutdown? Good to hear it. Good to hear it. All right, give me 1 sec, Moki. I'm going to go see what the wife's planning for dinner, and then I will be right back. Yeah, seriously. Or they live in somebody's room.